kids are going to boo me, so I'm not going to say that too many times. I can see it building in them. But I asked them a couple weeks ago what some of their favorite songs are. And after I vetoed half of them, and then after the band vetoed the other half, we decided on King of My Heart because it's one of my favorite songs. If you're up here, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the kids sing so loud sometimes that even with headphones in, I can hear them. And they actually have a very specific dance move that goes with this song that they came up with. I think Miss Esme came up with it all on her own. And they do it like in a chorus line. So this morning I said, you know what, we're going to sing King of My Heart because I love that these kids sing You're Never Gonna Let Me Down, and man, they believe it. And isn't that good for us, a reminder that God, let me have faith like a child. Even though I might understand a lot more and I might have gone through a lot more things than they have, God, let me have faith like them that says, you're never gonna let me down, God. Even in the midst of trial, even in the midst of tragedy, even in the midst of heartache and pain that I can't understand, God, you are good because it's your character, and that doesn't change, and you're good to us this morning. So I pray when we sing this song, Lord, let it be our anthem, that God, you're never going to let us down, even when we feel like it's already, it's doomed, or we feel like a situation that we can't handle. God, we know that you are good still because you don't change. You're not like us. So this morning we're going to sing, You're Never Going to Let Me Down, all right? And I better see some of this, okay? Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, David. Sorry. All right, you may be seated this morning. Kids, come on up with Sister Lorena because right there's fine until she comes. Let us clear this off. The kids are going to lead us in a song. So I'm having you sit down for a moment because you're going to get back on your feet and do a lot of dance moves, okay? So start stretching out your muscles. Get ready. Okay, give us 1 minute. Here we go.
Feel the wonder, say his name. Watch the darkness slip away. Put your power on display. Say goodbye to fear and shame. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. Move. Signs and wonders in his name. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. Move. Move right now. We want you. We want you.
Now get off my stage. Hello, everybody. Very easy. So, before we get started, we have announcements, and we'll take up the tithe and offering. I'm doing announcements because I'm going to give you guys the layout from now till December of the series. I already have stuff clear to March. In fact, Easter is going to be Love is an Open Door. I watch too many Disney movies. So, while they get the TV, they can put it up here. So tomorrow, next Sunday we start Weights. And Weights will be preached by me and Manuel. Manuel will be preaching because I will be baking on a beach. Actually, my wife will. I can't be in the sun. So, because I will turn into a cherry. But Weights is next month, and we'll be talking about what weights we deal with that prevent us from hitting our purpose, and what weights we carry every day. Then the next one is who or what would Jesus say? I actually had fun making this graphic. I made it. I was Googling, okay, how do I cut out their heads and everything and put it on there? And what we're going to do is take celebrities and put biblical stories to who they are and what Jesus would say to them if he was on earth today. And I think we'd be surprised in some areas of what Jesus would say, especially because many of them, we have different feelings that probably what Jesus would think. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a Trump fan, then you probably don't like that AOC's up there. And if you're the other way, you probably don't like that Trump's up there. So you'd probably be surprised on what Jesus would say to either one of them. And then we have, let me fix my TV here. And then we have October. Now, October was hard because it's Halloween, and usually I think, I should go with a scary theme, like let's preach on fear or something like that. This year I decided, no, none of that. So we're going with Hope Rises. I saw another church did a series like this, and I thought, well, that'll take us right into Christmas and everything. Now, Christmas, I don't have the graphic for it yet, but it is being called, I'm taking it from what are the Honda commercials they have? A season to remember. You know, you get is it Lexus? What is it? Where it's the big bow on the car, and they come out, and it's like a season to remember. Thank you. You bought me something expensive that I can pay for. You know. So those are the series we have coming up. You guys can come up. And they're laid out. I stay way ahead of everything. But I thought, especially Hope Rises, don't miss that. And I'd say don't miss any of them, I guess. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for today. Thank you for Back to School Sunday and what it represents. And thank you that we live in a country where we're free to have a free education for our kids, dear God. And thank you for all that you do. Bless the tithe and bless the offering in your name. Amen. Now, I told you 2 weeks ago that you needed to go on YouTube and practice because the time has come for beep, beep. Wait, what? Apparently, I got to put a beep, beep hold on that. Okay, memory verse. It ain't my memory verse.
Or one main memory verse that they did, and it had motions in it, and they would just scream it out, boys versus the girls. I mean, they would just yell this memory verse. So today, they're going to show you what their memory verse is. You guys ready? Yeah. All right, ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9.
Woo! All right, we're going to do it one more time, and then Abigail got picked from her class to go ahead and talk a little bit about what that means. So, you want everybody to say it with you today? We're going to say yes this time, okay, Sam? Just letting you know. Everyone's going to say it with us, okay? Yes! Okay, awesome. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Be
Strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9.
Good job. Give him a hand clap. All right. And then Abigail, I wasn't involved in this, so I think I'm just supposed to ask you what it means.
It means that God is with you wherever you go and he is in your heart.
Very good. Very good. All right. And now the time has come. So I know you wanted to announce this, Ryan. Go ahead.
Go pick.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Your
Go
poison.
Pick an adult to do it with you. And there is no saying no. There.
David, Amelia, we're going to talk after church.
So if you don't know what Beep Beep I'm a Sheep is, they did this every morning and every night. And I can memorize it.
All right, you guys might want to face that way. You're going to follow the moves.
Can we do it with them?
Yes, you got to show them how to do it. So turn around, face this way, face this way. All right, you ready to start out? Are we ready? Yeah. That sounded weak. Are we ready? Let's do it.
Oh, it's broken.
Now some of you might be wondering, how exactly does one beep beep like a sheep? Take it away, Gabe!
Throw your hands up and point them to the floor. Here's what to do, now get down on all fours. Just bounce around, it's easy, follow me. Go crazy now and beep beep like a sheep.
So, you know how to beep beep like a sheep, I see. But, is that all you can do?
Throw your hands up and point them to the sky.
Wow. I have to give props to Okay. While they fix, there we go. So when we were at the other building, one year we got Les George to go to camp as a counselor, and so that year we were at the high school camp, and we had to do Pimp Your Counselor and Pimp Your Cabin, and so we picked him, and so he had to go have a makeover. And so we put a do-rag on him and the baggiest pants ever, and we made him walk down the middle aisle at church to Notorious B.I.G. And then we had to do Pimp Your Cabin, which they had to be part of. And since we went with like a hip-hop theme, we turned our cabin into a nightclub, and we put a sign on the door that said, "The devil's a pimp, don't be his hoe." And needless to say, Sunlight Chapel did not win. We also got called to the office. And we, it went well. So today I am, do I need this? There we go. Today I am preaching on Toy Story 4. So you guys can hit the video.
Okay, class, craft time.
Hello, I'm Forky.
We got this kindergarten thing under control, eh? Can't believe I'm talking to a spork.
Woody? Why am I alive? You are a toy. You belong to Bonnie. These are your friends.
Woody, I have a question. Well, actually, not just one. I have all the questions.
Who wants to go on a road trip?
Me!
Vacation!
You need help with that? No, I got it. I know, this is a little strange, but we all have to make sure nothing happens to Forky.
Something happened to him.
Buzz, we gotta get Forky.
Roger that.
The panic is attacking me.
Change of plans. Jesse, Ham, Buzz, Bo, Rex, Potato Head.
Hey, watch it, buddy.
Let's go save a spork.
Do I need to be worried?
Well, my guys are veterans. They'll hang in there.
On my way, Woody.
Oh.
I know the perfect toy to help.
Duke Kaboom, Canada's greatest stuntman. Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
He's posing.
Yeah.
Duke, we need
Hold
to...
on, one more. Oh, yeah.
Hold on!
Whoa! Woody'll save me. I've known that guy my whole life. 2 days.
Is that how we look on the inside? There's so much fluff.
We have to find him, Mom.
Bonnie needs Forky.
Aw, Sheriff Woody, always coming to the rescue. That's gonna be quite a jump for you and Duke.
For me?
Let's kaboom.
Go!
That's where Forky is being kept.
How do we get that key?
What about the old plush rush?
There you go.
Oh, where did you two come from?
Well, we're not doing that.
There you go, Toy Story 4. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty, I'd say it's probably better than the second and third one. It's pretty funny, comes full circle. I don't know if it's the last one. By the time I probably have grandkids, they'll be Toy Story 12. They do them about every 10 years. So I'm going to have two helpers, which are my kids, who are going to come up and answer questions. Come on. What was rule number 1? Don't be shy. You can go on this side. Here, I'll give you guys this thing. There you go. Good luck with it. So, question number 1 is, how did Forky come alive? I think, whose question was?
It was mine.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I don't know. So how did Forky come alive?
Through Bonnie loving him.
Okay. What does Forky say he's used for?
Salad, soup, maybe chili, then the trash.
Why did Forky jump out of the RV?
To find a trash can.
To find a trash can. And last, who brings Forky back?
Woody and Buzz Lightyear.
Woody and Buzz Lightyear, yes. So, thank you. So, Forky thinks he's trash. Or actually, he is. He is trash. But he thinks he's trash. And he somehow comes to life. They barely explain it in the movie. And he just is trying to find a trash can to sit and wait till the end comes. And they have to keep, in fact, there's a scene where he keeps jumping in the trash can and Woody's sitting in the trash can, throwing him back out of the trash can, you know. So he says he's trash. I had a picture that I totally forgot to put up here, but the guy who does his voice, I met him one time in Texas, Tom Hale, and he's actually in the show Veep and Arrested Development. If you watch those, he plays Buster on Arrested Development. He did the voice for Forky. But no one sees themselves the way God sees them. You know, Forky didn't see himself as a toy. I kind of liked how the movie became full circle. Because if you remember Toy Story 1, Woody had to try to convince Buzz that he was a toy, though Buzz thought he was a space invader. And then he had to convince a fork that it's a toy, who thought it was trash. And why do we not see ourselves the way God sees us? Why do we see ourselves as trash? Well, one is our upbringing, how we were raised, something that was said to us. I can remember in the 3rd grade, and I told this the other day in small groups, we were talking about things that affected us, but I remember we were doing popcorn reading. And if you don't know what popcorn reading is, where your friend attacks you by picking you to read next, and then you flip him off because he picked you, and you try your very best to get out of it. And so I had a friend pick me, and they're like, Ryan. And the teacher goes, oh, no, let's move on. He's taking Hooked on Phonics right now. Why, thank you very much. Now, at the time, you know, it kind of did hurt your feelings now that I look back. But at the time, I was like, all right, I don't have to read. All right. Play dumb, you get out of reading. So the other one is past actions. Things that have been done to you. Things that you've done and you just can't get over. You know, past actions. And the other one is sins we trip over. Those little sins that we just can't get over. You know, maybe you exaggerate the truth or tell what they call a little white lie and stuff. We all act like we have something to prove. We have to act like we have it put together, even though deep down we listen to that inner voice that tells us that we are trash, that we're not good or anything. It being back to school, I thought I'd quote one of my favorite bands, Deftones. And Deftones has a song that says, "So run, run, run back to school." All you kids are going back to school. I can't wait till they go back to school. Look back, I sift through all the cliques, roaming the halls all year, making me sick, while everyone's trying to make the cut. And when you think you know me right, I switch it up. What is it saying? You put on a front, even though deep down you don't talk right to yourself or you don't think right about yourself. Deep down you try to put on a front because in school you got to make sure you're with the right clique or the right people, or make sure you have it all together with your friends and everything. And yet what they're saying is, but for this person writing the song, you don't know me. Anytime you think you figured me out, you're not going to figure me out. I'm not going to be what people think I should be, but we are who we think people think we should be, so they don't see the real us, because we don't think highly of ourselves. Today we'll be in Exodus 3 and 4. Thankful to my wife, because I was picking another character to talk about today, and then I'm like, name me a character with low self-esteem. And she went off on like 4 or 5 other ones, and I was like, wow, those are like way better than what I had. Can you write it? Just tell me what you're going to write. And we're going to go through 3 ways we kind of talk to ourselves through our inner voice about us being trash, and then we're going to end it with how God sees us. And the first one is our inner critical voice shapes our self-confidence. And Caroline Joyce says, while our positive qualities and sense of self often arise from positive childhood influence, the critical inner voice is born out of adverse experiences and attitudes to which we were exposed to. So, though how we're raised, how we act is from positive things in our lives, how we talk to ourselves or how we think of ourselves is brought upon from negative experiences in our lives. So we're always harder on ourselves than how we act. In Exodus 3:1, it says, now Moses was tending the flock. There's other verses that say he even talked to his flock. He would talk to them of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to a far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And next one. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So he was curious about this. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. So he's out walking, he sees this thing, and I'm just kind of trying to paint you the story of how it starts, and he sees this bush burning, and he walks over to it. And it was a way God calling him. And in verse 5, God says, do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. So God enticed him to come to holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. So he's realizing it's God. Because if he didn't, he wouldn't have hid his face. And we got to know that because the rest of the story kind of gets weird if he knew this was God. So we drop down to, so God tells him, I'm choosing you. I'm choosing you to take the Israelites out of Egypt. They've been slaves in Egypt for a long time. I think it's 400 years, or 400 years has passed since Jacob to now Moses. And in this time they become slaves. God's like, through you, they will be free. You will take them to the promised land. I chose you. Most of us would be like, all right, yeah, my name's going to be on a plaque. This is going to be awesome. And he's telling them all this. And how does Moses take it? We'll drop down to 10. And he says, so now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He knows this is God, and he's kind of like saying, yeah, today's not a good day. I got laundry, I got to shave the sheep, I got dishes, I got things to do. It's not looking good, He is telling God no. You ever tell your spouse no? Yeah, that does not go well. But he's telling God no. A lot of times we tell God no, and we question God out of fear. Why fear? Because we don't feel like we can do it. We don't have the confidence in ourselves to do it. It's easier to be like, yeah, I got stuff to do. Joe down the street, he's a little more holy than I am. I don't think in holy ways. He gets up at 6 a.m. and prays. I get up at 9 and look at Facebook. I'm just not the guy for this. And what's the next slide, guys? We question God out of fear. In Proverbs it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Why must we not lean on our own understanding? Because we call ourselves trash. Because we don't feel we're worthy. We can't do it. We can't get through school. We can't get through whatever grade we're going to get through and stuff like that. So we rather think we're trash than do it. William Shakespeare says, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we often might win by fearing to attempt. William Shakespeare had fear to attempt things. The man who probably wrote some of the best novels. And it came some of the best movies. In fact, one of my favorite movies that Kayla makes fun of me for is the Leonardo DiCaprio version of Romeo and Juliet. But she makes fun of me for it because there's only one reason I like that movie, and my kids are sitting over there. But let's just say it has to do with angel wings and a balcony. And what used to be, except she grew up and not anymore, a pretty girl. But I used to love that movie. I also liked the guns. I used to think, man, I want a gun like that. That's cool with the cross on it and everything. Then I thought, they don't make those, you idiot. So, but our actions are consistent with our critical inner voice. That's number 2. We're going to act like what we tell ourselves. The first one is we become what our inner voice tells us. And then now we're going to act like that because that's what we feed into ourselves. The psychologist, Carolyn Joyce, I quote her many times today, we may start to behave in ways that affirm our critical attitude. If we define ourselves as stubborn, we may justify patterns of behavior in our relationships or at work that steamroll others, ignore their advice or feedback, or that lack of vulnerability and openness. So we become what we tell ourselves we are. It reminds me of Finding Nemo, when the kids swim up and, one of them's like, oh, I'm allergic to bubbles, and the other one's like, I'm obnoxious, and it's like he's becoming what his parents told him that he is, and we become what we tell ourselves. If we're shy, we're going to be shy. If we're this, that, but even worse, if we tell ourselves we're not worthy of God's love, if we're not worthy of these things, we'll just decide that we're not. We just won't be. In Exodus, it continues. We drop down to 15. It says, God also said to Moses, say to the Israelites, the Lord, the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. Then the name you shall call me from generation to generation. So again, he's telling him, you can do this. I'm going to be with you. I'm God, the God of your father. And it continues. And it says, the elders of Israel will listen to you. I want you to think about that. The elders of Israel will listen to you. God is telling him they will listen to you. Sometimes God tells us it will be okay, and we're just like, it's not going to be okay. It's just not going to be okay. Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifice to the Lord our God. So he's telling them, they will listen to you. What does he say? Is it okay? Then Moses answered, what if they do not believe me or listen to me? What if they don't listen to me? So now his actions, because he doesn't have enough confidence to do this, is to argue with God. You ever have your kids argue with you? Except I do this thing, and I probably shouldn't say it because my kids are right here, but I'll just go, fine. No, I'll do it. Works every time. Except now I'm going to say it, and Abby's going to be like, okay. I'll be like, dang it, I didn't win that one. But he's arguing with God because he doesn't feel he can do it. But God's telling him to do something. God's not his psychologist. He's saying, do it, I'm with you. They will listen to you. What if they don't listen to me? It's kind of funny. I feel like, I don't know if you've ever seen that 70s show where Red just stares at his kids. It's kind of sometimes how I feel like God is. Then the Lord said to him, what is that in your hand? A staff, he replied. So he has a staff. What does God do with the staff? The Lord said, throw it on the ground. So Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake. His stick became a snake. And actually, I did research what kind of snake this is, because I'm curious, and I give you guys fun facts that you don't really use, which these are probably the facts you remember when you leave the building, not the other stuff. But most likely it was a king cobra, because it wasn't indigenous to the area. King cobras are from India, and in Egypt they're not known to be there. Plus, king cobra is the only snake, if you know the tale of Moses, that can eat and kill other snakes. And if you remember when he puts his staff down in front of the Pharaoh, then they put their staff down. Their staffs most likely became black mambas, but a cobra's venom is so potent. It's like our thumbprint that it can kill other cobras and other snakes. Just fun fact. So there you go. Reach out your hand and take it by the tail. So Moses reached out and took a hold of the snake, and it turned into a staff in his hand. Number one, when you reach out for a snake, especially that's venomous, you don't want to reach the tail. It's kind of like the last place you want to reach, especially with the fact that it can probably wrap up its own body and bite you. I don't know if you watch used to watch Crocodile Hunter. It's behind, well, he grabbed it by the tail, but we all know. But you're supposed to grab it behind the head, but God tells him to grab it by the tail. And if you know the story, God even tells him, put your hand in your pocket, take it out. And he took it out and it had leprosy. Then he said, put it back in your pocket. And he put his hand back in his pocket and he took it out and it was healed. I mean, God just showed him 2 signs to prove to him that he is God. Because he's questioning God. He's arguing with God. And now it says, Moses said to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow to speech and tongue. Now he's saying, I stutter. I can't talk. I don't really want to talk to him. And now he's giving another excuse. He just saw 2 miracles, and he's like, I'm still not going to do it. You know, he is talking to God, and he's still saying, and he's seen miracles, and he's still saying, no, I am not going to do it. He doesn't feel like he can do it because that inner voice tells him that he can't, that he's trash, that he's just a spork that deserves to sit in the trash can until it's time to go to the incinerator. We become argumentative out of fear because we don't feel we can do it. Which actually, when I wrote this, I kind of thought about that. You know, people who argue, or even kids who argue, maybe there's a fear there that needs to be looked at. But we argue out of fear because we're trying our best to get out of it. Or we're trying our best to get out of whatever God has for us. So, what can we learn from Forky? Well, one thing is, he says, I am not a toy. I was made for soup, salad, even chili, and then the trash. So he felt like he knew his purpose. He felt like, well, I'm a spork. Just use me at a cafeteria and toss me away. That's it. That is my lifespan. There we go. He also says, I am not a toy. I'm a spork. I'm trash. I don't belong here. How many times do we tell ourselves stuff like that? I don't belong here. I'm trash and stuff like that. So our inner voice tells us how we're going to be. Our inner voice decides our actions. And our inner voice shapes our self-confidence. It shapes how our confidence will be. Then defensiveness for our self-critical thoughts. We become defensive. Not only do we argue, but we even take it to the next step because we are determined not to do it. Caroline Joyce says, certain comments or events may trigger us more than others when they strike a chord from an old symphony of self-attack. So like one thing is, for years, because I'm scared of heights, I would not go on roller coasters. Just, nope, not doing that. And even like, I love surfing, but if it was like over 6 foot, I had a fake stomach ache that day. And I sat on the sand. Like, guys, I don't feel good. Because there was no way plus, I had a heart transplant. You know how dumb it would be for me to drop in on a over 10-foot wave? It's like, hey, thank you for the heart. I'm not being smart about this. But, you know, I had a fear of heights. So I would try my best to get out of doing what my friends would want me to do. My friends would be like, oh, we're going to go on this roller coaster. Yeah, you know, because I have this scar. You know, I could pass out. You never know. I think I'll just go over to the exit and sit there. You know, and finally, my 13-year-old cousin, well, he was 13 at the time, and I was 21, he made me get on one. Well, he wanted to go, and he needed an adult. So I went on Silver Bullet. and I had a blast. Yes. And then we went on, what's the one that goes out and goes up and over? Accelerator. I don't remember the end, because I don't remember the end of the roller coaster, because when we shot out at like 80 miles an hour, I was like, like that. So apparently I was telling the truth. I would pass out, but I had another friend with me, and all of a sudden I woke up. I'm like, what happened? He's all, dude, you were out cold, man. So we argue. Things trigger us. We'll get angry because we are determined not to do it. We'll get angry at God. What is the new thing? We say, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. That triggers me. I'm triggered. Like, people don't want to talk to other people about things that bother them. We can't even have a normal conversation nowadays because everything triggers us, because that bothers us. In Exodus 4:13, it continues, but Moses said, pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else. He finally had enough. He was putting his foot down. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like doing it. I don't have the confidence to do it. I'm trash. I can't do it. They won't listen to me. These people won't listen to me. The Israelites think I'm from Egypt, and Egypt knows that I'm a Hebrew, and either way, I'm going to die, so I'm not going to do it. And what does God do? Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, what about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. So he gives him another option. And if you continue the story, they continue to go back and forth, and in a way, Moses keeps getting triggered because he has low self-confidence, and he doesn't feel like he can do it. I mean, eventually, if you know the whole story, he does it, and he does pretty well. But it's because that inner voice where we keep telling ourselves we're trash and we're not good enough, then we become angry at things because we are determined to just sit and do nothing. Bill Burr, he's a great comedian. He's always on Conan. And I watch Conan here and there, especially if he's on, I'll watch it. He just angrily rants about everything. Like, he does this thing on the iPhone, and he's like, Steve Jobs. It's not like he created it. It's not like he was there with the soldering gun and stuff. He just said, hey, I want a phone that takes pictures. Now make it. So he's kind of funny with the way he thinks about things. And he was on Conan right after the election. And he kind of said, especially talking about, being triggered, he kind of says something that was kind of profound in the way he was joking. Because we let, especially here in America and the society that we're in, we let the simplest things bother us. And when you really look back and think about it, and they mold who we are, I mean, we just think about it and think about it and think about it. It's not really as bad as what we think. We extreme things in our head than what it really is. And he says, and so Conan asked him about the election. And he goes, and asked him if he was scared. Are you scared? There's people that are scared. Are you scared? And he put, I don't get why everyone's so scared. If you liked Obama, did he call you in 8 years? In the 8 years he was in office, did he make you a sandwich? No. You're still going to do that. He's like, you're still going to be able to be at home making your sandwich and be okay. And Conan goes, so are you worried about him being in office? It doesn't concern you? And I like how Bill Burr finishes up. It says, nah, you only see the president like every 3 weeks. He says, it's like if you're dating a chick and she was a jerk, but you only saw her like every 3 weeks, then there's like no way she could break your heart. And what he's saying is, it's not like you actually have a conversation with this person. People don't actually know who he is, but they are so bothered. And you can go the other way. Whether many people like that, they're just bothered by people who they really don't know. They're triggered. They get angry at the simplest things, but it comes down to how they speak to themselves. So those are 3 ways we speak to ourselves. But how does God speak to us? In Matthew, it says, when an impure spirit comes out of a person, it goes through a dry place and seeks rest and does not find it. When you speak something bad into yourself, it finds a place to be. And you'll always just think about it and think about it and think about it. You know, you have one thing we're trying to teach our kids lately is, because you have girls, the arguing. She took my comb. And we're trying to teach them that you can have a bad moment and it doesn't have to make it a bad day. Mom does that better than Dad does. Because I'll walk down the hall. Well, today sucks. She'll be like, what are you teaching them? That today sucks. That's what I'm teaching them. You know, we listen to our inner voice and we'll let it ruin everything because of how we speak to ourselves. So, what does Jesus say? My inner voice isn't your inner voice. Isaiah 55:89 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. And then Romans 5:8 says, but for God demonstrates his own love for us in this way. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Another version says this, I found it online. It says, I loved you at your darkest. Think about that. Think about people you know, or even famous people who are at their darkest, and yet God still loved them. And yet we're like Forky. We think we're trash. But yet, like how Bonnie built Forky, God built us. You know? One thing I laugh at, we went to the Disney store the other day, and it's like $25 for a Forky doll. And, you know, kids are coming up, and they're like, I want Forky. Dad, can we buy Forky? And this one dad was like, I can make that. And the kid's like, really? And he's like, yeah, I could. We just need Play-Doh. We need a popsicle stick and a fork. There we go. You know, and they're selling it for $25. Leave it to Disney to take a fork and take our money. You know? C.S. Lewis says, the Christian does not think that God will love us because we are good, but that God will make us good because he loved us. So here's the truth. In reality, because of Adam and Eve, we are trash. I mean, I said a few weeks ago, we're in the losers club, you know? But because of God and what he did and what Jesus did on the cross, we're better than trash. We're a fork that can talk, you know? But we treat ourselves so much worse than God wants us to treat ourselves. I honestly think we will get to heaven and think like, wow, you really thought of me that way? I was way off on that one, you know? And I'll leave you with this. This band Lit says it best. It says, it's no surprise to me I am my own worst enemy, because every now and then I kick the living crud out of me. There's kids. But we speak to ourselves so bad that we are our own worst enemy. We may think other people are out for us or other things like that, or what's the other one? It's Satan again. He's attacking me. He's probably just leaving you alone and you're doing it yourself. You know, you are your own worst enemy. But Jesus loved you at your darkest. Let's pray. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you for today. We thank you for Back to School Sunday and what it represents. We thank you for all that you've done and the fact that you don't see us as trash, that you see us as something great, something that you have a purpose for, something that you can use, something that you created. And we thank you for all that you've done for us, dear God. In your name, amen. Now, we're going to have the kids come up here real fast, and we're going to pray for them. Now, when I was a kid, my parents at their church, they did, pick a kid and pray for them for the whole year and stuff like that. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But my prayer partner, it was like, so how was your first day of school? Good. That first Sunday. And then after that, I just didn't hear anything. So we're just going to pray for the kids. And but continue to pray for them. School is rough. We have a friend that works in the DA or something like that. I don't know, some city thing in Orange County. And she's been telling us the curriculum and how they're changing it. And I'm not talking about math, which you cannot do their math. I know math. That's not math. That's confusion. But they're changing the way they teach them in junior high about becoming an adult and dating and who you date and how you want to date and all that. And it's pretty scary in some of the stuff they're coming up with, where they could even start it in kindergarten. So, keep the kids in prayer. I'd say yearly keep them in prayer. And if you have a kid you especially want to pray for, go right ahead, but we'll pray for them. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you for these kids. Bless them as they start school. I know some of them only have a few weeks and some of them have a month. Touch them, bless them, keep them safe, and always have them come home safe. A school can be a war ground. Always keep them mentally safe from other kids and other bullies and the things that they say. Help them all get the right teacher that knows you and can teach them more about you, dear God, and help them get a teacher that has a positive influence on their life. In your name, amen. Now you guys are going to do move again? Yes? Okay, I'll back this up.
Feel the wonder, say his name. Watch the darkness slip away. Put your power on display. Say goodbye to fear and shame. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. We won't stop coming after you. We won't move until you move. Come and do what only you can do. Come and do what only you can do. Send revival.
Well, we have school supplies out there and snow cones. So you can go.
Trouble won't throw me, won't break me, won't scare me no more. Fear must have thought I was faithless when it came from my heart. 'Cause I got a song that will never die. I know your love is the reason why. I'll sing the night